So I'm going to give you all some of my recommended action steps. And these are not mine. This is what I've actually learned, different books that I've read, different speakers, authors, and stuff like that. How can you connect to your higher self? How can you raise your level of consciousness? Well, the first one should be obvious to all of you because we've talked about it on the best practices of the most successful people in the world. It's you meditate. Now, the reason why I use this image of this person sitting down is because many times when we hear, oh, you need to meditate, you think that you need to cross your legs, hold your fingers like this, like some guru at the top of a mountain. No, it's not like that. All you need to do is sit in a chair, lie down wherever you feel comfortable, and it's all about you taking deep breaths and relaxing your mind, right? Imagining white light covering and bathe your whole body. It's that simple. And I just was speaking with another person, a friend of mine recently, and he's like, oh, I'm having trouble sleeping. And I'm like, have you tried meditating? He's like, no, I haven't tried meditating. Every time I listen to those tapes and they tell me to relax, it makes me angry and it wakes me up even more. And I'm like, oh my goodness, whatever you do to relax, listening to some voice telling you to relax from head to toe. It might work for you, it might not. But again, my invitation for you is to start off small. If you're not comfortable doing it, 5 minutes, even 1 minute if you can, then try to do it morning, midday, in the evening, and then maybe work up to midday. And then over time, you can add more and more time. So instead of doing 1 minute, maybe it's 5 minutes, or maybe it's 10 minutes, whatever you can do. And always set the alarm in case you have other things to do so you don't fall asleep, which is a natural thing for most people. But guess what? Your body needs rest. Sometimes we don't listen to our body. So that could actually be the best thing for you. Here's the second thing. I was just talking to another member of Electus Society, and whenever I talk with members of Electus, we're having like coaching sessions or things, and they're like, Tim, I don't know what decision I need to make. I'm struggling with this or with that, and I'm like, what should I do? And as all of you know, whether you guys signed up to those biweekly networking meetings, I'm not a person that believes in giving you advice. Again, why would I give you advice and tell you what to do if it works out horribly? I basically want you to take responsibility for your life. And if everything about Electus Society is about raising your consciousness, I'm not here to be some guru. I'm just here as a person who's had these experiences and sharing with you and respecting your autonomy and your life for what you have to do. So I want you to connect more with your own higher self. Don't do what Tim says, do what your higher self tells you to do. And so whenever they're struggling with questions and they're looking for me to answers, I'm like, I can't tell you. I can speak about my experiences, but here's my invitation for you. And you can choose this whether you accept it or not. After you do a meditation, and that's really important because you do a meditation to quiet your mind, right? That ego, that always talking. That's very different than your higher self, right? Once you can actually quiet the mind and relax, then that what religions usually say, or the different scriptures, they say, listen to that still small voice. And it's hard to listen to that voice if you're so busy having anxiety and worries. But after your meditation, you get a journal and you just start writing down your question. Write the question and write the answer. Whatever comes to your mind, you jot it down, blah, 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 blah. Even if as you're writing, like, this sounds crazy, I don't care. You just do it and you write it. And you guess what? When you start to doing that, you're going to be surprised by the answers that come to you. For those of you who have completed already level 3 and are level 3 members, and those who have done level 2, I've moved a training which was called mental health and wellness, right? Taking care of yourself. I recently sent it out to all the members as a reminder. And there, Jen Osorio Allen, a licensed clinical social worker, talks about her higher self. And there was a moment where she asked her higher self, like, why don't I have a relationship? And guess what happened? That still small voice told her, you still need to work on yourself. And the moment she heard that, after all the work, she just started crying and bawling. And guess what? She had to have some kind of catharsis to kind of release that and recognize that she needed to work herself. She needed to love herself. How can you love and be in a relationship with somebody if you hate yourself, right? How can you love somebody else and think that there's something wrong with you and not you're not special or deserve love? And it was amazing. And the moment that she got that lesson and worked on self, continued to do great work, guess what happened? She found her husband. So again, this is very, very powerful stuff. And again, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because these are not traditional messages that you might hear in a traditional leadership program. Because again, I want to share with you what's working, what I've seen, and I'm not afraid to talk about subjects that might be taboo or woo-woo or whatever you want to call it. So the third recommendation is set an ideal for yourself. This is what John Van Auken said from the Edgar Cayce Institute, right? The ARE, Association of Research and Alignment. You set that ideal standard for you. What is it that, who do you want to be, right? Take it out of all the woo-woo and spiritual and connecting with God or your higher self. It's like, I am a conscious creature. I'm alive, and I want to be I want to be the best version of myself. What does that look like? Okay, who are the examples that I want to live by? And then once you actually have this ideal vision, then every day you work closer to that vision. That's it. It's not complicated at all. When I told all of you that I did that 4-month leadership course with Landmark Worldwide, and then I became a coach for that program and the head coach, that's when I was introduced to this idea of the study of ontology. It's the study of being, okay? And that's where they said, Tim, you want to transform your environment at your job, your career, your relationships? Well, you have to change the way you are being. And that means that you need to declare through an affirmation, who do you want to be in every given situation? And I really worked on it. And I said, who I am is love, fun, and empowerment. That's Tim Duffy, in a nutshell. And so guess what happens? Whenever I go into a room, whether I'm doing this training, it's like, I think about that. It's like, who do I want to be in this moment? I am love, which is the affirmation, right? It's your intention that you're setting out. And guess what happens? By you vibrating those emotions, feeling those emotions, guess what? People in the room, because we're conscious beings, remember, we affect each other, thoughts and feelings create reality. I can be starting loving and thinking about that. And then guess what? I'm going to start experiencing people in an environment that are more loving. I'm going to be more loving to them. They're more loving to me. I'm thinking about fun and empowerment. Guess what? We're going to have a good time. We're going to laugh. We're going to have and that's all based on my intention. Because guess what? The opposite is true. If you have an intention like, I'm mad at the world, everybody's annoying. Guess what? You're going to go. You're going to walk into a room. That person's annoying and that person's annoying. Guess what? You're being annoying because that's what, you're being judgmental. Then people are going to be starting to be judgmental back to you. Okay. So let's keep going. Right. And by the way, I've seen some of the comments. Thank you so much, Susan, that you're listening to the meditation and every night for 20 minutes. I love it. Right. And I think the name you said, Jason Stevenson. I think it's Stephen A. Schwartz. Maybe that's you'd be talking to, or maybe it is Jason Stevenson. I don't know. If it's helping you, great. And I love that you're being connected more through your a higher self, right? That you're a Christian and that's what you identify. Love it. Love it. Okay, let's keep going. Now, what's number 4 action steps? Your dreams. Okay, when I was on my spiritual journey with my mentor, which I shared a lot of you in level 2, was Gary Spalansky, and he did shamanic empathic healing, and I was able to release a lot of anger and stuff that I had from childhood, etc. Well, guess what happened? He was the one who educated me about dreams and how important dreams are, and even John Van Auken from Edgar Cayce. And he says there are, and this is what my mentor Gary Spalansky said. He's like, Tim, do you know that there's 3 types of dreams? I'm like, what? He's like, the first one is what most people know about. They're called anxiety dreams. Have you ever had those dreams where suddenly you're running away from somebody, and then suddenly you're at your home, and then next you run out the door, and now you're in a new state and you're in a new building? Like in this anxiety dream, nothing makes sense. It jumps from one thing to another. And he's like, when they're so complicated and there's a lot of fear and anxiety, guess what that is? That's your higher self releasing all your anxieties. It's allowing you to express your subconscious worries and concerns, and it's a way of being therapeutic, right? It's like, if you're angry at somebody, it's like punching a punching bag. It's like you're allowing your dreams to release all those anxieties. Okay, that's one. The second type of dream is the future dream, where you basically dream something. You're like, oh my goodness, I see this happening. This person's going to have a baby and it's going to be this, or this person's going to pass away, or I've had relatives that's happened to. It's their predictive dreams, right? They're tapping into what Edgar did, is the non-local consciousness of the universe, and are able to travel through time and whatever, and being able to know what's going to happen. Again, I don't have a lot of those. I can't speak for myself, but I know of other people that have them. The third one, which I think is the most important, are the spiritual dreams. And those are the dreams that happen when they're usually very short. They're not long. They're not like the anxiety dreams, but there is usually some kind of message that you're supposed to get from that dream. And it could be a dead relative talking to you, connecting with you, or somebody who's passed. Again, feel free to share any stories that you guys might have in the chat or whatever it might be. But sometimes they're just big metaphor dreams. And so one of the things that John Van Auken basically says, when we're in our dream, we're in our higher consciousness, right? We have our higher self lives in other different dimensions, as they would say. And so when we're in our body, we're in this third dimension, right? This dimension that we're operating in. And he says, sometimes the moment that you have to move and go to the bathroom, it's like, oh, you forgot the dream. So if you have a dream, the recommendation is don't move your body. Open up your eyes, don't move, and just try to focus on remembering that dream. Sometimes people keep a journal right next to their bed to like write that stuff down. But also, if it was like a weird dream, you can actually get an interpretation. You can actually close your eyes. You can ask your higher self, hey, what did this dream different mean? And that way, sometimes, through your dreams, your higher self can actually communicate with metaphors because they represent things, right? And sometimes if we're told something directly, maybe we wouldn't listen to the advice, but maybe in the form of a story or metaphor, it might change our perspective. Okay, I don't know. That's just my 2 cents. And here's the last one. And this was what I've been trying to do recently. If I want to live my life where my higher self is guiding everything that I do, well, guess what? If I'm coming from an egocentric mindset, right? I'm coming from a selfish mindset. Protect myself. I'm worried. I'm afraid. I'm fearful. And then I make actions. And guess what? I have negative outcomes or consequences. But if I'm relaxed and I'm calm and I'm operating from my higher self, I get all these different ideas. And so, and the way that you know that it's a good idea or it's from your higher self is because it's positive, it's constructive. It's like, hey, you're thinking about this person. Like, have you ever had it walk around and then have this random friend or relative pop in your head? And you're like, oh my goodness, like, I really feel like I should call you, right? I did that once. I remember I was just driving in the car on the road, and then boom, it hit me. It's like, worry about your sister-in-law. And I'm like, what? And then I'm like, let me call my sister-in-law just randomly right then and there. And guess what happened? Hey, sis, how's it going? And she's like, oh, she started crying, bawling hysterically, like she needed that release. I would say my opinion, my 2 cents is that my higher self was guiding me to say, you need to connect with this person. This person needs love and connection. So again, that's a perfect example. So anytime I think, and even if it's something silly, like I'm passing across the kitchen, it's like dirty dishes. Idea, it would be a good idea to wash the dishes. It'll make your wife happy. Maybe she wants to come home, make something. Guess what? If my higher self is telling me to do something instructive, boom, I do it. And if you start to do that, I'd invite you to tell me later on what types of miracles you start to see when that happens. Okay. Thank you so much for watching this video clip about conscious leadership. If you are committed to helping to create more conscious leaders in this world, that is leaders with more humility, more integrity, more awareness, that take constructive action, then consider helping us by making a donation. Our goal is to have 600 conscious leaders develop before the end of this year. Currently, as of December 1st, we already have 400 members. And again, with your help, we can grow even further. How can you help us? Simply make a donation. If you visit buymeacoffee.com/Electus Society, you can either choose to give a monthly donation and join, and you get different access to a lot of these different membership benefits, or simply make a one-time donation. Click on the heart support button, choose 1, 3, 5, or type in any number of amount of coffees, hit the support button, and you can upload your card information on the secure platform. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, and let's continue our mission of building more leaders. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.